Please turn off your videos. We can't see you, right? We don't want to see you. Please turn off your videos. You are looking good, but we don't want to see you. Turn off your videos. Otherwise, I will turn off you from the classroom. This is not the new day, na? Every day you are attending to class. Stick to basics. Mute yourself, turn off your videos. Otherwise, I will remove you from the class. Right. So last session we discussed, we started working with Bootstrap, and we learned how to install Bootstrap. What are the basics needed for that, right? So we learned installing Bootstrap and how to enable Bootstrap. Is everyone able to install Bootstrap? Everyone working fine with Bootstrap, installed successfully? Right, good. Okay then. So fine, it's okay. Then let's start. Yesterday we discussed about, okay, fine, right? So fine, let's continue. Now, yesterday we discussed how to deal with the basic Bootstrap. Now we need to understand how we can work with various components in Bootstrap, how we can use Bootstrap in making everything better in presentations. Let's see. So first important, how do we deal with the Bootstrap components? Yesterday we learned about how to use Bootstrap containers. By default, we have a container. We can adjust the height and width by using those containers, right? Next, after knowing about how to use the containers, now one more important option is we need to understand how to use other components in Bootstrap. Means classes, what are the various classes that are used for Bootstrap. So many components are present. We will learn about them, right? How to design and work with them, we will see, right? So in the Bootstrap classes, after understanding the containers, now you need to understand one more is, first thing we learned is container. Second, we need to understand how to use grid system. Already we learned about the grid system in previous concept, right? That means how to design the grids. We learned about it. We learned about flex, grid columns. So we have seen everything about grid. There While designing the grids, we have used some effects. We have written so many effects actually. Now, how to define the grid options in Bootstrap? So what are the grid options in Bootstrap and how to use those grid options in Bootstrap? We need to learn about them. Let's see. So what are the options we can use and how they are used? Actually, to use the grid options to design grid system, Bootstrap grid classes. We need to understand how to use Bootstrap grid related classes. So what are the classes and how to use the classes? So let's see what are the Bootstrap grid classes. Because I told you learning Bootstrap is all about using the classes, right? How to define the classes and how do we work with the classes. So we have the first important class is we have the class called call. Call is the class, so that is for call class is used for defining a column, and the dot row class is used for defining a row. So in a container, we can define row and columns. So let's see how we can define the rows and columns. Basically, first, earlier we need to write display, grid, flex, so many things. Now see how to handle them. In that, so many other attributes also there. So we are writing the grids here. So what is the advantage of Bootstrap? It will provide ready-made effects for us. So let's go to the Bootstrap examples and let's write grid HTML. First, at the top in the head section, we have to link relation is equal to style sheet and href is equal to node modules bootstrap dist css bootstrap.css. That is the path for Bootstrap. Okay. Now in the body, we are designing here the div, and div class will have container. Okay. In that we have a div. So usually this is in the div, we are defining another div. Okay. This is call one. This is column one. And this is column two. Okay. And these two, column one and column two, are present in this div. Okay. Now similarly, I have another div and div. So this is row one, column one. This is row one, column two. And this is row two, column one. And we have another div that is row two, column two. Like this we have designed. just some basic content. Now actually, so that is the intention actually for the div. So this is row. Okay, so this makes you clear to understand. Okay, now generally when I run this, by default Bootstrap container will put some effects there. So that is row 1 and column 1 like this. So this is row 1, column 1, and this also should be row 1, column 2 should be beside it now in the second column. Then usually how we can define this is simple. What we have to do is, so we need to define these two in one row. That means we have to add a class called row class. In the row class, this is column. That means we have to apply the class as col, and this is class as col. Okay, that is the column. And similarly, this is another row. That means this is class is equal to row. In this row, we are defining class as col. This is one column. This is a class as another column. Then you can observe here they will be arranged in this way. So row 1, column 1, and row 1, column 2, and here row 2, column 2, and this is the option. For example, if the rows and columns are having border, they will define correctly. Anyhow, the basic option for columns, the basic option for columns is this. For rows, we have to use the class row, and for column, we have to use the class column. See, important is we are just applying those classes. We are not writing anything inside style. There is no style. There are no style attributes, no display grid, no grid columns, nothing. Just we are using ready-made classes. These classes will define everything in a perfect way. So that's how we can manage. So how we can define the rows and columns, right? How we can design the rows and columns. That's the. Now important is when you are defining the row and columns. So every row is this and column is this. For example, you want additional, then put a style in the style. So for every column dot column, for every column we are defining some border, 1 pixel solid and dark cyan like this column. So you can see it will be like this. That's how actually it arranges the contents. Already we have, but we are arranging that in this way. Now while defining, this is the row and column. And important is for column, define a column. It can define a column with specified column width. It specifies a column with specified column width. Defining a column with specified column width. Actually, column width we can define in so many ways, like we have dot col hyphen sm. This will put the width, sm is small. It will put the width, so 540 pixels. And I defined some col, so md. So medium, this defines 720 pixels. And this is col suppose LG for large. So that means it will be 960 pixels, 960 pixels. Then col, I can define XL. This is for 1140 pixels. That is the column width with the different predefined widths. So when you define columns, so you can add the columns. You can add the columns. And important is, this is the column options available. Actually, so we can have some more options for that. That means sizes can be defined explicitly by using numbers. We can explicitly define sizes by numbers. So how the columns are defined with actually numbers? Usually, so number of columns are defined by using a specific size. I will tell you about that. That means different sizes. Actually, extra one more point you have to know is, after knowing this, you should know that column, that is, first I will show you this one, how it works actually. So suppose the first column, this is the first column, I will give as col hyphen sm. And the second column I will give as LG, that is the large, small and large columns. And both here SM and LG, so that is large column. That means small and large columns. So it is displaying like this. Because after defining here the size, that means it is small or large, you have to define a number actually. So that's what I'm going to show here. So this is the pixels, how much pixels you want. You need to configure the pixel. After defining the pixels, you have to know one more option is columns. Columns must be defined with the size number, explicitly, means additionally. So which can be when 1 to 12, which can be 1 to 12. That means how to define explicitly columns. So dot col sm hyphen 1, like that. We can define dot col like sm2, like dot col dot sm, so 6, like this. We can define up to, like this, we can define up to col sm12. So medium columns, large columns, small columns. That means out of 12, how many ratio you have to define for every column. That means generally what we can do is col sm here I given as 1. Okay. So col LG as 1, large 1. I defined all SM, LG, everything is assigned like that. And here col SM is equal to, so 1. And col SM LG is equal to 1, like this. Now it will show everything is same. Suppose I said col SM6, so LG6, like this I am defining. Here you can see they look same, no difference inside them. Similarly, I defined 6 and 6 here. That means column large and small columns, and you can see the size is not affected for them. So the size is not affected because when you are defining the means actually situation wise we need to do that. For example, if I directly mentioned this with an explicit number, that sm small how to design we will give. Suppose call I am defining this as 6, and this call I defined as suppose some 1. So 1 6 like this we are defining the columns, and you can see it will be adjusted in this way. Similarly, suppose here I am defining call 6 and call hyphen 6 and call hyphen 1. I am defining like this, and you can see it will be arranged like this. Actually, this 1 to 6, this is the width actually, how much width you need to define for that. Suppose this is the width is 6 for this, because 12 na, you given 6 means automatically it will be half, and this is only width 1 you have given, so you give the width as 2. So for the both columns, second columns, it will adjust little bit. If I given 3 for both of them, that means it will adjust little bit. It will adjust little bit like this. And of course, here we have to define the size for divs separately, because we changed it to column. How to use small and large, we will discuss about that. That means small columns, large columns size can be defined in this way. Suppose now I am defining small column 6, that means call hyphen sm hyphen 6 and call hyphen sm hyphen 3. So when to use this sm and lg and xl, I told you, depending on the devices that we are using. If you remembered, I told you these are suitable for different devices. I given a list for devices. So for mobile based environment, how much, for tabs, how much, for laptop, how much, for desktop, how much, we need to define according to the device. Now that means for small, we are defining the size. It will be like this. Now how it to make it responsive, I will tell you how we can configure responsive, means adjusting them. Because for small we are adjusting here, because based on the width na, I am adjusting. Actually the original is 100% like this. Actually this is 100%. That means maximum how much, 500 pixels only it can apply. So because you are giving sm, like suppose I give an lg, that is large, lg large. So that means this is large, I'm giving lg. That is for large devices, I'm giving lg for large devices. Large devices, then you can see that will be fit for the large device. Now when you are adjusting, so you can see up to 700 pixels it can be perfect. After 700 it will come to next line, right? Up to 700 pixels it can be. It can be more. How we can define xl, right? We have to define xl 36. xl is for large devices. That means maximum width how much it can define. It can define up to 1000 pixels it can define, right? Up to 1000 pixels it can adjust. I will tell you about these different sizes, how to configure them, right? That means maximum column sizes, whether to use SM or MD or uh, other numbers. So call LG. So here 1. Similarly, we can use call and LG 12. SM, LG, MD, all we can define up to 12. Up to 12. Now, important is when to define them. So that is also important. So what you have to do is you need to understand this point. That is here itself I will write. This is for mobile-like environments. This is for tab-like devices and means more screen width. This is for laptop-like devices, and this is for desktop-like devices. Now, laptops also have the same desktop-like sizes. So this is 1000 can be defined for desktop or laptop-like devices. Actually, they are meant for them, right? Depending on what type of device you are targeting, you have to define them. You have to configure them, right? So instead of that, we can use another method. We can use another method. How is we can directly define the size to adjust. So we can directly define the size to adjust. That means you can configure the column size directly. Configure the column size directly by using call and number. It can be up to 1 to 12. The column and number which can be up to 1 to 12. That means you can write like this, call hyphen 6, right? We can write like call hyphen 1. That means maximum 12 and minimum 1 we can define. Means how much it has to occupy, that you can define here. By using this we can configure, right? So that is how actually we define the columns and column sizes. So SM, MD, LG, these are used when we are targeting to devices. So by default, I am defining like this: call 6, call 3, and call 6 and call 3, like this. I am defining like this. And I refresh here, they will adjust like this. I increase the size, you can, and I'm just zooming. Then you can see that's how the columns are arranged. Later, we will see some responsive things also, how to manage. Now, if there are more columns, you can adjust. Means according to the column. Suppose if I say both are 6 size, that means usually both are 6 size. They occupy equal space actually. They occupy equal space, right? So when we keep the borders and we can keep the alignments in a correct way, then you can understand how to do that, right? So this is one basic option, how to arrange rows and columns. Earlier, in order to do that, we need to use a lot of styles. We have to write a lot of styles. Currently, we don't need to write any style. Actually, we don't need to write any style until or unless we need to add some additional functionality. Just we have to define the column and row options correctly. How to use them in an example, I will show later after understanding all the points, right? First, one by one, we will discuss how to handle them. Then we can use all options, how to work with them, right? Okay. So this is one simple example to understand how do we define the rows and columns. So example, how we can define the rows and columns. This is a simple example. Later we will design one sample with our Bootstrap concept. We will design one separate one, right? As of now, this is one how we can design. Okay. Next important, you can add any number of columns based on the size. Actually, default size it will take. Otherwise, call means it will take default size. You can define the size according to your requirement. You can define the size also. So how we can mention that size? This is example. Okay. Next important, when you are defining the columns. So we have one more important option is uh, columns means the previous one is how we can define, yeah, row and column. So another example you need to know is here a note I will give. Note is nothing but, so you can use auto as a attribute for call. So for call, auto as attribute for call, right? We can use auto as an attribute for call. So in order to adjust according to the width of device, we can use auto also. That means we can write like this: call md and auto, call sm auto. Like this we can define auto. That means it will adjust according to the content, and it will display according to the content. Means it will automatically adjust the width actually. For example, suppose here I am defining, so another row div. Here I defined another row, so class as row, and here I have a div, and in this div is suppose auto width, auto width. Here we have to just define as call. So class is equal to, we have to define call and md, and we can set auto, and we can set call. So sm as auto, md as auto, lg as auto. So we can define that. So here just for style sake, I am writing style, and wherever we have dot row, so I will give row border as 1 pixel solid, like this, and a dark cyan, and one more is margin top as a 5 pixel. So that is the option here we defined, and it will be like this. Auto width means it will fit into the size. It will fit into the size actually. Auto fit means it will fit into the size. That means it will fit all the columns and merge into one. That you can usually define for that. How to define alignments? I will tell you how we can configure the alignments. Actually, if I want to align center, here we can use a class called text center. Later I will tell you those effects, then it can keep that into center. Later I will tell you about those text effects and other options. Means we can directly write a class which will keep everything. So this is a simple option of how we can define the auto size. It will adjust into that. So a simple syntax, you can add this into the previous example. Just we can define auto width and configure that. That is one option. Another important option is when we are defining the columns and containers. So containers, we can adjust the distance between them. We can adjust the distance between them. So here a lot of units you need to additionally understand. Means how we can adjust the distance. Distance means, we learned about padding, we learned about margin, right? So how we can adjust padding, margins, and how we can define contents, those also we can manage. I will tell you how we can adjust the margins, padding, how we can configure the paddings between gaps already. This is columns. Let's see one more option. That means what are the other options? Third option we need to know is This is about columns first. You have seen the columns. These are all related to columns only. Okay, let's see how we can use for rows. So defining a row in grid with various span options. A row has various span options. How we can use those span options, I will tell. For that, we can use row. Actually, so this will be uh, a single row. Usually, it is a single row, and you can define the option like we can configure the option like instead of row, so we can use a call. So instead of use, we can use like this: row hyphen calls and a number. You can define a number. So this means this indicates how many columns in row, how many columns in row. You can define by using that row number. When we are defining the rows, we can say how many columns in that. So you want 3 columns, you want 4 columns, you can define the number of columns, right? And you can even define, so the size for devices, you can also define the size for devices. That means you can also set row hyphen calls hyphen sm hyphen number, or you can also define row hyphen calls hyphen md hyphen number. So we can arrange according to the numbers. We can configure according to the numbers. So that is important while you are configuring. Let's see one simple example how you manage that, right? Let's see how to manage that. So calls rows with all these options, how to configure them and how to use them. The previous one was all about columns. Now let's see how to deal with the rows in a grid view. I'm designing another example for that. Let's add a grid row.html. Okay, now same in the head section. Yeah, link relation is equal to style sheet. href is equal to node modules and bootstrap dist css. One important thing is that majority of you, when you are working with bootstrap, so when I'm writing the classes, have you observed it will give me the help about it gives a list about what classes are available, so that I need not to type. I can simply select from the list, right? This is missing in your computers many times. For that, what you have to do is you have to go to extensions. In extensions, you have to install an extension called IntelliSense. IntelliSense for CSS. So IntelliSense for CSS, you have to install this. IntelliSense for CSS class names, in HTML. This plugin you install, that is the plugin actually. You install that plugin. So separately, I will give you the plugin name, right? So that plugin I will keep in the notes itself. At the top, I will give you install following plugin. for VS Code, right? You install this plugin for VS Code. It will help you because sometimes what happens is class names hyphen is missing, or if any particular spelling is wrong, it will not work perfectly. You install this plugin. So you know from where to install. In extensions, you can install this. Then you will get help so that you can easily manage. Let's see. Now that's already installed here. Okay. Now here the class is container. Fine, container. And in this we have a div. So this class is representing a row. Fine. In the row we have div. So in the div we are having column. So this is column 1. Okay, like that we have some columns. So column 2, column 3, and column 4. So for some columns are there. Okay. And important here is for every column, we will add the option call. Class is equal to call. We are adding the class call for every column. We are adding the class call. Okay. And let's run this. It will be in this way. And here I will keep a heading simply saying that columns rows demo. Okay. And here I will just put a heading style. Style wherever call is there. So border as 1 pixel, solid and dark here. Okay. That is the columns we are having. Column 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you are defining the row here, observe row. Along with row, we can add row calls. Calls how many? So you can define row calls how many. Calls how many? Suppose I want to display the columns number. We can configure the number as suppose 2. To row columns 2. That means in every row, it will maintain 2 columns only. You can see in every row, it will maintain 2 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So here, so row columns 3. Then in every row, it will display 3 columns. Right? Row columns 4, that is how it can display all the columns. It can fit them into that. Maximum here you can fit like that. That means so max number. So here you can simply say that so number from 1 to 6 only. That means the row column size numbers you can define from 1 to 6 only. We can configure 1 to 6. Suppose if I give 1, that means what will happen if I give 1? Then obviously it can display. If I say 1, then obviously it will display only 1. If I say 2, it will display 2. It will display 2. If I say 3, it will display 3. Right? How many columns you want? So actually, so for every column, so I said margin left. Margin left is 5 pixel. 5 pixel. And you can see it will be like this. Because the width you need to adjust here, you can see. Because 5 pixel. Margins, how we can control in the classes, I will tell you. Because when I give margin, what happens is it will shift the entire content. So I will remove this margin. And margins you can use later, right, in a separate option. That's how we need to define. So don't give any margins or padding like options. Those I will tell you how to give in the classes itself that we will learn now. We'll discuss about that, how to handle. So this is how we can define the column sizes, right? How we can configure the column size. Rows means in every row, how many columns to display, that you can manage by using this technique. So that means it will decide how many rows, how many columns in every row. Like that, you can design multiple rows. So suppose this is copy and we have another set of rows. In that, it will have three rows, three columns, and you can see it will have three columns, right? And so for every row, I will say margin top as 10 pixel. Only top margin for every row, it will be like this, separated. I will have another set of columns here. I will have another set of columns here. And here I will define 4, then it can display all the 4 in a single. It depends on how you are configuring them, how you are defining them, right? So that you can do by using the rows. Another important is we can use the row alignments also in a different way, how we can define the alignments. That means you can control the row alignments. So this is syntax. We have to define div class is equal to row, and we have to define row calls is equal to 4. So like this you can define. That's how we can use the syntax. Another important is for rows. You can configure alignment for content in a row. So when height is changed, when height is changed, we can adjust the alignment. So actually this alignment is vertical alignment. So when especially height is changed, you can adjust the vertical alignment. You can configure the vertical alignment. Actually, when row height is increased, then we can change the alignments. So usually if they are defined with height specifically, you can adjust that. But problem is this is not supported on every browser. Internet Explorer like browsers, they don't support vertical alignment. That's the problem. You cannot use everywhere. But how to define them? Actually, we can use, for row, we can use align items start. We can use align items as center. These are the classes actually. So these are row alignment related classes, how you can define. And you can use align items end. You can write the alignments in this way. Alignments to top, alignments to center, alignments to end. That's how we can configure the alignments, right? So when we are displaying, then that is how we can configure, right? Let's see how we can do that. But this requires the height of container and the height of a row to be adjusted to keep the items alignment contents correctly. So that requires height also to be defined. Means usually they define vertically, top, bottom, like that, right? This is vertical alignment. You can configure horizontal alignment. Vertical alignment means, for example, in this, let's take a look here. Suppose all are defined to call to, So this is also called to. All are defined as 2, right? And you can see all are defined as two options here. And for example, we have row is having a padding as 30 pixel, and border for the row is 2 pixel, and double border, some red colored border is there. Usually this is how it is defined. For every row we are having border. So I will put a background color. So background color light. So some green or gray or some color we have defined there. That is the background color for that. So let's keep light yellow. Okay, that's the simple background I have given there, like this. Actually, now important is we have changed this padding. I'm removing this padding. So that means the content will be like this actually. So I am adjusting the row height. I defined the row height as, suppose 150 pixel. The row height is 150 pixel. The row height is adjusted like this. And inside that, so we have padding as 10 pixel. 10 pixel padding is defined like this, right? Actually, when you are defining the padding more, suppose 30 pixels or 40 pixels, you can see it will be like this. Now arranging the information inside the containers. So row alignments, how we can configure the row alignments for every row vertically. That requires some more options here, I will show. So this row, this is the first row. And here we can add option, how many columns we are defining, how many columns we are configuring. We can use the options align, and we can use items, and we can define start, align items start. And you can see when I define align items start, so actually you can observe that some distance is there. Let's remove the padding here. Actually, not distance, it means, that means you can observe that it is aligned from the starting, means from the top. From top it is adjusting. So from the start means from the top it is adjusting. So from the top, it will keep on adjusting your contents. For example, currently all are having, so how many, so columns, suppose 4 columns, all are 4 columns, If all are 4 columns, then everything, you can see this is at the top actually. Align contents to the start means it will arrange at the top. Now what we will do is, for the next one, for the second row, I am using align items, and to center, align items center, then it will be centered. You can see that row is centered. Means inside the row, the item is centered vertically. The first one is vertically top. The second one is vertically center. And we can use align items to the end. So that means at the here, last one, I will use align items to the end. And it has to align the items to the end, means at the bottom. That's how it can manage the vertical alignment. all the items can be aligned vertically top, vertically center, and vertically bottom. The vertical alignments you can adjust by using these options. How we can manage the vertical alignments? Actually, the alignments can be defined in several ways. This is vertical alignment, how we can configure the vertical alignment. We have another option. Another option is we can even adjust with different, uh, in one row, every column can be aligned in a different way. So that means, so for example, second column, I want to adjust to the center, to the center. For that, we need additional attributes. Like, actually, I hope this you understood first. I will keep this is, you can configure vertical alignment. Start means it will align to top, and center means it will align to center, and end means it will align to the bottom. That's how it will align the contents, top, center, and bottom. We have another option. That means uh, every every column can be self aligned in a row, in a row. Every column can be self aligned. For that, we can use so the options like align. We can define self start. We can use align self center, and we can use align self end. Like this, we can define that. That means, for example, suppose here in every row, suppose we are having only 3 columns. In every row, we are having only 3 columns. There can be any number, just alignment. Here we have 3 columns. You can see these 3 columns will be displayed like this. Now, every column that you are configuring, so here we can define, that is the row, right? So here we can define the rows. I change this alignment to start. Then usually if I change alignment to start, usually it will be like this. It will be like this. Now for the column, what we are doing is align self, align self start. That is one. Another column we are using align self center. Another one we are defining align self as end and self end. That means those 3 columns will be arranged like this. That means to the self it will adjust. To the self it will adjust. We can use self alignments for every column inside the row. Every column inside the row. You can adjust the height for that content. That's secondary. Now you can see this is left, this is top, this is center, and this is bottom. That means for all of them you can define. All of them how to define? You can write in row. For individual you can define. Individual how to define? You can write in column. But when you are writing in column, you have to define self. That means, so every column can be self-aligned in a row, right? So these attributes, so to be used in call, right? And these attributes to be used in row. These attributes use in row. Along with row and column combination, we need to define them. And this one point is enough to understand how we can arrange that information. This is a syntax of how we can deal with that. So this is option how to handle. So this is important in Bootstrap because this is where your arranging of contents, you will get perfect. right? So one of the main concept about developer for UI technology is how he can arrange and keep the contents in correct place, right? And design the page in such a way that the contents will not go outside, and make the page in such a way that even zoom sizes are changed, then they will fit into the page. That's what we want. Then for that, vertical alignment, horizontal alignments, so how we can define column breaks, so arranging the columns, so many other important points are there. So those we will discuss in the next session. Right, tomorrow we will continue. Some more options are there about rows and columns to understand. Those we will see in tomorrow session. Okay, thank you.